Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, where we drink the finest whiskey and we argue about the internet's most important topics.
So grab a drink, sit back, and relax. Enjoy our soothing voices as we talk about today's topics, which first one is some Russell's Reserve, and then we're going to get into talking about holsters and what we look for in a good holster.
Stay tuned. But first, look at our new things.
I know we got some new stuff in front of us. You guys are going to notice just
how
great we sound.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've had issues in the past where we've recorded whole episodes and then realized that batteries in our mics died because we don't have somebody sitting on the other side of here helping us, which we probably could have used today since this is take 3 for today. So we've got the audio figured out, nailed the audio.
Yes, spent some money here, got it rocking and rolling, right?
But the video was on slow motion twice.
So the first time he's like, it's on slow motion, the video card's full. And then he just starts it and doesn't take it off slow motion.
I cleared the memory card because I thought it was full. So anyway, we should be rocking and rolling now.
We're good. We're good, baby. As long as you did. It's not in slow motion anymore.
I hope not.
Okay, good.
We'll find out in an hour.
No, in like 8 minutes.
Oh, that's true. When it dies on us. So we invested in some more gear here that you can see in front of us.
Yeah.
Today's episode brought to you by us. Yep, us. So what are
him and me?
The company Neomag is what funds all this. We don't have a Patreon. We don't ask for money or anything. We do this one because we love doing this and we love making content for you guys, trying to educate and entertain. But we also do this to try to bring a spotlight onto the Neomag brand. So if you are interested in some high-end American-made concealed carry and tactical gear, please head over to the neomag.com. Make a purchase there. Will help keep this going.
Because you're going to like the way you carry. I guarantee it.
I'm not only a customer, but I'm also a client.
Ooh.
Usually it's a bald guy talking about, or bald guy with hair. No, I'm still bald, but I make some really cool EDC.
I've got hair
stuff.
I've got some hair.
You need to get your hair cut.
I know. Look at how good it is.
I
like it when she plays with it, so I don't want to cut it.
All right, so it's getting weird. So I'm going to transition over to talking about today's whiskey, which is the Russell Reserve Rye Single Barrel 104 proof whiskey. Like I said, this is our third take, so we've been drinking this for a little while now.
We are already one finger in.
Feeling pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
So let me just kind of run through real quick some of the history of Russell's. So Russell's is distilled and made at Wild Turkey, which most people have heard of Wild Turkey Distillery, but they've not really heard of Russell's. Well, Jimmy Russell was the master distiller at Wild Turkey. His son, Eddie, was also coming up underneath him, learning everything from his father, how to be a good distiller, all the traditions, recipes, all that sort of thing. And so they actually turned into a father-son duo. And I believe they're the only one or the longest-standing father-son master distiller duo.
Something special there.
Which is awesome. I'll put some pictures up of the two of them. It's pretty neat. So the Russell's Reserve brand kind of started right around 1998. I think a little bit before that. But in 98, Eddie made a special small batch in celebration of his dad's 45 years at Wild Turkey.
That's pretty cool.
About 3 years later, they launched the Russell's Reserve brand. And they came out with a 10-year straight bourbon. And this is one of the 10-year is the one that I tried first. It was recommended to me from a friend saying, hey, we're all looking for the best bourbon we can find for the lowest price so you can drink the best for least amount of money, guilt-free, and all that sort of thing. He said, this Russell's 10-year is one of those ones I just always keep on my shelf. And so I grabbed that bottle and I agreed. It's fantastic. It's like $35 for a 10-year bourbon.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
It's awesome stuff. I'll have to bring it in sometime. And then jump ahead a little bit. In 2010, Eddie and Jimmy are inducted into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. So that's pretty cool. That is cool. I think it sounded like they both got inducted at the same time. 2015,
That's kinda nice.
Eddie is named master distiller at Wild Turkey. His dad must have retired, or I'm hoping just retired, but it wasn't like.
You didn't research that?
It didn't say his dad died or anything, so he just said 20. I don't know. His dad might still be there. I don't know.
We don't know.
It said on the timeline, 2015, Eddie becomes master distiller, and he releases this, which is the Russell Reserve single barrel rye.
That's nice.
And this bottle checks off all the boxes for me. It is reasonably priced. It is a single barrel. It's a rye. It just has all the things.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of it?
Okay, so when he said he had a rye, I'm a little skeptical because ryes aren't my favorite. They're not the worst, not my favorite. But in terms of ryes, this is one of the best ones I've tasted. It's sweeter than I expected. It's not like a hardcore rye where you're like, as soon as you take it. It's high proof. And usually he even brought some water for me to cut it if I wanted to. And I chose not to because it is pretty good. It is different. And it smells really good.
Yeah, it just
got a good aroma.
Smells. Yeah, the aroma is amazing. Like I said, it's at 104 proof. It's got enough that you know it's there, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I don't know if you remember, I brought the Angel's Envy rye not too long ago.
Yeah.
That one's pretty sweet. Like,
right.
To me, there's not enough rye in that one for it to be one of my favorite ryes. But this, well, this is also higher proof than that.
It was sweeter than I remember it being pretty sweet.
And the proof on that one wasn't quite as
right.
as high either. I was to say it was like 90 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just there's nothing that I dislike about this. It's just it tastes great.
Good taste.
Great price. Yeah, it's good stuff. But all right, so
yeah, good.
That's today's bourbon segment. So let's talk a little bit about holsters.
So that is the topic of today for sure.
We got a bunch of holsters behind us here. So I brought up to Dusty. I said, I get asked a lot. So with the Alias system that we have, we work closely with other holster makers, and we have a long history of buying holsters. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of you guys could probably go to another room in your house, grab a big box full of holsters.
Yeah.
And they're in there for two reasons, probably. One, you don't carry that gun anymore.
Right.
I got a bunch of those. Or two, you just didn't like it. And especially if you look at how much holsters cost, I mean, like a single holster these days is what?
50 to 70.
$50 for a cheap one, probably.
That's a normal entry level holster, and then it just goes up from there.
Yeah. So if you look at every holster in there as $50, I mean, we spend a lot of money on holsters. So I thought today we could kind of talk about, first off, what are things that somebody should just look for in general for a good holster?
Yeah.
Because we see plenty of people that do not have good holsters.
I'm going to set the record straight here. You need 3 major things from a holster. The first one is it needs to cover the trigger. And then the second one is it needs to not be floppy, especially in the area that it covers the trigger, because over time it breaks down and then it'll get in your trigger and you'll shoot around into your junk. Nobody wants that. The third thing that I think that is very important for a holster is it needs to be concealed, right? Like, we're not outside the waistband. It actually needs to be able to be concealed. And I know that there are some very comfortable holsters, but they are not very concealed.
Yeah.
So
there's technology. There are things that people are doing with holsters that are helping conceal. So we're going to get it a little bit more into that. I agree, though, that find something that safely and securely holds your gun, covers the trigger guard, keeps it concealed, which I would also say needs to be securely attached to you.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I would kind of put that
in
there as well. It needs to be something that.
Yeah, you don't want to be drawing your gun and taking a holster out with it.
No.
Because that's no good.
That'd be very bad.
Yes.
All right, so let's kind of talk about some of our favorite features of some of these.
Sure. Yeah.
Some of these holsters.
Let's start with this.
All right, so you're going to notice all the holsters that we have here are Kydex holsters.
This is a cert gun, by the way.
They are all, like, we don't have leather. We don't have, the shell styled Kydex and cloth. Do we want to talk? Should we talk about that a little bit?
So there's a couple different kinds of holsters. There's like a hybrid holster is what he's talking about there, where it has Kydex on the outside, and then on the inside they put like leather, and the leather is the whole purpose in that is to make it more comfortable. And there are good versions of that have like very stiff leather that goes way out away from your gun, and those are, I would say, for the most part safe. But if it's, if this portion of it right here, the trigger guard, is just cut real close to the trigger, that will break down over time and get into your trigger guard.
Yeah, be concerned. I see people with leather holsters often, and that they've been using for a really long time. And they're like, "Oh, it's my favorite holster. I've been carrying this for 10 years, and it's been such a great holster." But then I look at it, and it's broken down, and there's not people like leather because it's easy on the surface of the gun, on the finish of the gun.
Yeah,
that was kind of the main reason, and because long ago
that's stupid.
Kydex didn't exist for this method. So what else are you going to use besides leather?
And that was the best option.
Yeah, that was the best option then. However, over time, better options have come up, and I get wanting to protect the finish on your gun. My challenge would be, who cares?
Yeah.
It's a tool.
Right.
It being safe and secure to me comes before worrying about scuffing my gun that I could easily get refinished if I wanted to.
So then you can have an all Kydex holster or plastic holster. Some of them are injection molded. Those are good. We recommend those. Yep. And then there's also another kind of holster, and we don't usually talk about this. It's actually kind of forbidden in the gun industry to talk about this holster. It's called an Uncle Mike's holster. Yeah. And his scoff. Oh. He's gonna fire me after this because I even brought it up.
I got chills in my body thinking about it.
If it doesn't matter what it looks like, how cheap it is, don't buy an Uncle Mike's holster. Please, It doesn't matter how much it is. It doesn't matter what you think. And if a gun store associate tells you should buy this Uncle Mike holster, slap him.
Do not.
Immediately.
So if you don't know what Uncle Mike's holster is, basically like neoprene.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah,
it's like
a swimsuit material.
It's like mouse pad material.
Yeah,
just real flimsy. It doesn't do any. I mean, the only thing it does is it covers the gun, but it's still such a soft material that if you really wanted to, you could jab your finger into the holster.
I would rather you carry without one in the chamber and just stuff your gun in your pants.
It'd probably be safer
than carry with an Uncle Mike's.
But we're not recommending that either. Do not do that. No, do not do that. Buy a good holster. I know I know we talked about how holsters aren't cheap, but
yes,
neither is a ER visit or a funeral.
Correct.
Because you've been stupid.
Yes.
So
we have people reach out to us who are new gun owners, and they're like, "Hey, I saw you guys on the internet, and I want to buy your Neomag. Also, what holster would you recommend?" And we tell them, before you buy a Neomag, buy yourself a quality Kydex holster. That is how important it is.
Yeah, we will tell people not to buy our product, away money. Spend the money.
Yes.
On a good holster because
we care about our people, and
it's not good.
We don't want you to die.
So let's get into Kydex holsters and things that we look for in a Kydex holster. Now, we both carry appendix. There are that's what all these holsters are set up for. You can carry on the hip with Kydex holsters as well, and there are a lot of options on that. I would actually say that like a hybrid holster is probably better used on the hip than
I would agree.
Appendix, just because of how it's formed to the body.
Yeah.
But even then, I used to carry with a couple different brands hybrid holsters, and I get that they are comfortable, like you were saying, but I just never felt like they concealed very well. Just there's so much thickness.
Yeah, I think
on the back side
one of the something flew out and hit me in the face. I think one of the best companies that makes that would be like Hidden Hybrid Holsters. They have really high, thick quality leather, but it's just not for me. It hasn't been for me in a long time. And
we got Stealth Gear. The thing I liked about Stealth Gear is the pad on it was perforated.
It's not leather.
It breathed better than leather, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a crossbreed and those are leather, and honestly, it was fine too. But yeah, you can't go wrong. This is not going to break down. If anything, it's going to break. And if it does break, most of the companies that I think we have here are going to take care of you
because they have good customer service.
All right, so I'm going to start talking about this holster. This is a A&R design holster. I just got this holster for my new P365X Macro.
Yeah.
And this is a Kydex holster. You'll see here I've replaced the foamy style clip with one of our alias clips here, and we can talk about that a little more lately.
And you can buy that
or later.
with it on there.
You can. A&R carries alias and will equip you with the alias stuff. But one of the main things that I look for in a holster is I do not want a holster where the clip is mounted to the same point as the retention. This is actually something else that we probably could have put in with things that we look for in just in general in a holster, which is adjustable retention.
Adjustable retention. That's a good thing to have.
And going back to the hybrid stuff, I can't think of any hybrids that really have adjustable retention. You can't, because one side of it is flexible material.
I don't want to say you're entirely wrong, but I know I've seen one where they have curved kydex under, and they've had bolts go through it.
Yeah, maybe.
But I can't tell you who the brand was.
But being able to adjust the retention on your for the gun in the holster so that you hear that click and that you get a positive retention, so you know that the gun is in the holster is a really important thing. Something you're not going to get from an Uncle Mike.
Heck no.
Uncle Mike. Something I don't think you're really going to get from a hybrid holster, from leather holsters, and that sort of thing. Because you should be able to. Now, I don't go by the hard and fast rule that.
Put it in front of your mic.
Here, listen to this. This doesn't really.
It does.
There's a little click there.
Yeah.
This is a short gun, so it doesn't really have the same retention as a real gun. All right, so why do you want retention? You want to make sure that the gun is not going to come out of the holster, and this is one of the tests that you can do. Is put the gun in your holster, hold the holster upside down, and do this. And I'm not a super hard and fast. Some people say how hard they'll get so specific that you should be able to shake it really hard and not come out.
You don't have to do that.
I don't want that much retention.
Right.
However, you want to make sure that if you were running, that it's not going to come out. If you jump over something, it's not going to come out.
Bend over. Like, I know some guys who it's a bucket they put their gun in. If they bend over, it literally starts to slide up, and that's dangerous.
If it's on your hip and you slide out of your car and you can push up on, the grip of your gun catches on something, is it going to come out? Those are the sorts of things that you want to make sure that you have some retention. So I look for something where I can adjust the retention, and I'm also looking for, at the same time, I don't want to use the same mounting point for the holster clip as I do the retention. And the reason
one does not.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is you can't tighten the holster clip all the way down, because you're going to mess with the retention at the same time. I want my retention separate from tightening the clip down. Yep. There are some very popular holsters out there, some big brand, that use the same mounting point, and I don't love that. You're gonna see the holsters we have here, the A&R. Now this is a top mount, foamy style clip or monoblock or whatever. It's not going to use the same thing. So if you see that, then you're good to go.
You know it for sure won't.
This is a Tolster holster, and they do use the same holes for the bottom mount clip as retention. However, they use hard spacers for the retention. So I'm a big fan of that. Yep. If you are going to use the same, use hard spacers. Don't use rubber grommets. So I probably should kind of specify that and say there are some major brands out there that use rubber grommets.
Yep.
At the same points as mounting the clip, and I'm not a big fan of that. How about you? What's some things that you look for?
One of the big things that I like, you took one of my points when you talked about this, but the click, right? I want it to actually click. If it doesn't click, I don't know why, it just bothers me. I like the click. Now there are some that you get some good retention, and it doesn't click. It kind of friction fits. And I don't think those are bad. I just personally like the click. The other thing that I really appreciate, and this isn't a good example of it because I have a Glock 19, this is a Glock 17 cert gun, but my muzzle, I don't want it to be out of the kydex. And the reason for it is we shoot a lot of bullets at the range, and bullets make your gun hot. And then when you're practicing, the longer you practice, you go ahead and you put this gun back into your pants, right? And the muzzle touches your body, and it's hot.
The tip might burn the tip.
The tip might burn the tip, and that is a no-go. So, even ones like this where there's what is this called, like a spacer?
I think they call it a blister. That's one of the things I was going to talk about next.
Yeah, I won't take that from you, but the blister is nice because if it does have an open top like this, it pushes it away from your body a little bit, and that's actually a benefit to me.
Yeah. So and just to make sure we clarify, it's okay if the bottom of the holster is open. You just don't want
Exactly.
You don't want your tip sticking out.
Well, had a holster, but I decided not to bring it out because I don't like talking bad about certain companies other than Uncle Mike's. And, um, I basically, if this tip touches my body when it's in my pants, that's a problem for me for that reason. But I don't mind that it has an open bottom. That doesn't bother me at all.
Keep your tip concealed.
Good life lesson. Good life lesson.
Unless the right moment arises.
Right. If you need the tip unconcealed,
if you need to expose the tip,
then
make sure it's the right
do it quickly too.
Right time and place.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to waste time. You just want to pull your tip out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So one of the things you would talk about there is, so this is a TXC holster.
Yeah.
I love these holsters as well. There's a couple features about this holster that we both really love. First thing I'm going to talk about though is the blister on this. So this is what this does is this bumps out the bottom of the holster to go like this. It pivots the top of the gun into your body.
Yep.
If you are somebody that has a little bit of a belly, if you're built straight like a pole, like Dusty,
see my body,
then this is probably going to be uncomfortable because it's actually going to push this into the body.
Yeah.
If you have a little bit of a figure, then having something like this push the grip in the gun into you. You can see here on some of these holsters, I just got a roll of foam, adhesive back foam, and I'll stick this on here just to help kick the grip of the gun back into my body. And also just kind of makes it a little more comfortable. Because again, if I understand that a hybrid style holster is more comfortable because you have a soft material up against your body instead of a hard Kydex. Well, there's a fix for that too, and that's why having foam or blister.
So another name for that, I think they call it the wedge.
The wedge. So
Tier 1 concealed.
Tier 1 concealed has a foam wedges. I just saw Filster just came out yesterday. With kind of like a different size gel. They're like gel.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Things, and I know there's another company that makes like a gel one too, but I think it was kind of one size. It looked like Filster's has different sizes, which is pretty.
And that's actually handy because I don't dislike having a wedge or blister on my gun, but when they're too big, it's uncomfortable. And what's interesting about this TXE is this is not too big. This is just about right for me. I probably would have made it a slight bit smaller for my personal body type, but this holster has so many features that I like that it's worth putting up with a slightly larger blister or wedge than because I get to access all the other features, which I think is great.
So let's talk about another feature. Now, you're not a big wing guy, right?
Not a big wing guy. In fact, most of my holsters, I will take the wings off of because I just don't need them.
Let's talk about wings. So there's other names for it. Claw.
Yeah.
Wing.
Anything that's outside of the holster that helps push the belt out.
We're talking about is this
plastic
right here.
Piece right
so
there.
This piece right here. Now that helps push the grip of the gun back in.
Yep.
Would be around the Z-axis. If you are fancy with axis, axi.
If you're an
axis.
Axes. I think
axes,
the plural of axis is axes.
Axes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So the pad here helps around the X-axis.
Yep.
The wing or claw or whatever is around the Z-axis. So it's going to help push it in.
Yep.
One of the genius things about this TXC holster is they have a CNC machined block that does two things. It actually angles the gun back into you, but then it also angles it back into you in the other axis.
Yep.
So you see there's no wing here, but the angle of the clip is actually hard mounted at two different angles. That's a really cool thing that we both really like.
That's number 2 for me. That feature right there.
Yeah.
So.
Which is interesting because you don't like a wing, but you like.
I really dislike
a
wing because a wing pushes my belt out, and I know there's some benefits for concealment in that capacity with how the cloth drapes on you, but I really, really, really dislike them because I'm the kind of person, and part of the reason why the alias is so easy to put in and out of your pants is because I hate it being difficult to get something. Like I like to, when I'm in a permanent location, I like to take my gun off my body and set it on a desk or lock it in my car or wherever it might be. I'm not a person who wants to sit with it all day long. I like to have it close by, but I don't like it on me. And so being able to take it in and out of my pants really quickly is nice. And then secondarily, I feel like I have a growth on my hip whenever I have a claw. It just pushes my belt down and it feels funky to me. I don't like it.
So
But I do like this.
I kind of see where you're coming from. However, to me, I feel like so in order for this to work, it uses your belt pushing this in. So this is still going to bump your belt out. But instead of bumping your belt out here, it's going to bump your belt out
Correct.
here. So
And I wear a softer belt than you. I wear a Blue Alpha, which isn't as stiff as like a core belt would be. When I wear my core belt, I don't like using that holster because it still feels like my belt loops out and around my body instead of touching my body where I want it to be.
So take some of this information and apply it to you.
Yeah.
To you, because it might be different. You're already hearing some differences about what we like in a gun. In a holster, I like a blister, I like a wing. He doesn't like either.
Yep.
But he likes this, and not so. Dusty's just really complicated.
I'm not.
And
It's just different
difficult.
strokes for different folks, Greg.
It's got to be difficult.
Not
And everything.
everyone has to be like the majority.
Got to be so difficult. All right, what else do we got? I know we have a
So
tier
some
1.
people really, really like what I'm going to refer to as a mag-attached holster. And
A meh.
a meh.
A meh.
So when you get your meh holsters, right? Couple of things. There's different attachment methods that they use. Some people use snaps. Some people use a bar. Some people use bungee. I think there's some differences. Like, you want to have a little movement in this especially for guys who aren't skinny. Some holsters will make their mag attack carrier like this. I know that some of them use 2 clips, as this one does. I think the Master Blaster from A&R uses a singular central clip. So there's different clip styles for sure, but for the most part, they typically have a mag carrier on the left side and a gun carrier on the right side, and then they can come with wings. They come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. But one thing I really like about this is with our beltless carry, I've really enjoyed having a mag attached holster because I can clip this onto our beltless system and then,
Which at this moment, we have not released that product.
I didn't say anything about the extra component. I just said I like to be able to clip this onto my beltless. But now that you've ruined it for everybody, Greg.
Coming soon is the beltless extension, beltless plus. We're not really sure we're going to call that yet, but so I'll talk about this a little bit. I've carried with these holsters just a little bit. This is probably one of the most popular styles of carry, at least in our circle.
For appendix.
Yeah. In our circle of friends, people that we train with, 90% of people are carrying with a style holster.
Style holster.
We're gonna we're done here.
We're gonna really offend some people.
We got to go trademark that before
holster.
everybody steals the meh.
What kind of holster do you use? Meh.
All right, so let's talk about some pros and cons for a holster like this. One of the big pros, I think that most people like this. I think there's 2 reasons why people carry a holster like this. One is everything's just together.
Yep.
It's convenient. Pick it up, grab it, put it on. You now have a spare mag and a gun. It's super easy and convenient.
I get that.
The other thing people like about it is you have 2 clips spread apart, so it's going to be more stable.
Yep.
When carrying versus a single plastic clip, a clip like this. A single plastic clip on a single holster is not the most stable thing.
Especially when it's like this, where it's off to the side and it's not.
Now we fixed that with the Alias. Kind of shameless plug here.
That's not even a shameless plug. I really.
It's just that's one of the main design features of the Alias is that I wanted something that was I could use 1 clip and it be just as stable as 2 clips on a style holster. So I think those are the 2 biggest features: convenient and stable.
Yep.
But there's a reason why I don't carry and never really have. I've tried it several times because I wanted to try to figure out why it is that people like these holsters.
Not used to having that much in your pants. I get it.
Well, no, the problem is I already have so much in my pants.
Is that really the big issue?
That's just me. No. So, to me, to be fair though, it's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much in my gut. At least when I'm carrying appendix, I carry the like 1 o'clock. At least I can reach my shoes by bending down over the
On
left,
the left side.
on the left side, right?
We all have that issue sometimes.
Yeah, if I drop something, at least I can get down on my left knee and pick it up. When I have one of these on, dude, I cannot. I feel like I can't function. And so I really have found that it's just for the convenience and for me, stability is not an issue because of the alias anymore.
Yep.
And the convenience. Surprise, surprise! I'm a big Neomag guy.
Surprise.
So
everyone.
I put a spare mag in my pocket. That's another reason why. but truthfully, the first thing is it's uncomfortable for me. But let's talk about some of the other features that we talked about here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You'll see that there's a wing here. A wing does work on a meh style holster. But the thing that I've found doesn't work well, and
Sure.
and this is just for me. I'm
Yeah.
not saying this for everybody. A blister on the back of one of these does not work as well because I'm battling two clips. I'm battling,
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
you have to blister both sides, and a lot of times on this side, it just doesn't work as well. So for me, a holster like this just doesn't conceal as well. So
Yeah. So one
and
thing
I know I'm not alone in that. I think a lot of you guys, leave a comment down below on what you if you find the same issue.
I think what's really interesting about that is I like the balance of this kind of holster, and not like the balance of the gun. Like there's pressure on my right side and there's pressure on my left side, instead of there just being pressure on my right side. And I don't always want that because
See, I'm trying to relieve pressure, not double the pressure.
it's like surface area. Your belt's gonna push into you a certain amount. Would you rather have it over just the gun surface area or a gun and mag surface area? And I don't know if that's the reason why most people like it, but I think that's one of the reasons why I like it. And it's not my preferred way to carry, but I do like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
My preferred way is a singular. I'm all about being easy and simple, and my preferred way is just to pop a single holster in there, and then, the Neomag kind of lives in my pants whenever I'm not going just to work, and so I find that I just slide the mag in my pants. I don't have to put in a different thing. It's just there.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Again, I get the convenience of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, Neomag is basically just always clipped in my pocket. I wash them all the time, and it's there. You got something else?
So, one of the other holsters that I've had, and I think this is a G-code holster by Haley. This is like a customized one. But one thing I really liked about this holster, and I wanted to bring it up, is it's got this like soft cloth kind of thing to it. Now, there's a couple of holsters, and we have one that we're coming out with a clip with. What is that called?
It's also G-code.
It's a G-code holster.
They'll put that.
This is a very unique thing that I think could speak to people who are uncomfortable with plastic up against their skin. It has this fur, and it's like suede almost. I don't know what to call it.
Well, they also I don't know if you're gonna say this. They also put that on the inside of some of their holsters.
Interesting. I
So
didn't know
if you
that.
don't like the plastic up against the surface of your gun, G-code also puts that. I think some other companies may like cloth line.
But I like that, and I've actually taken a liking to this whenever I'm exercising, to wearing this holster specifically. And I do exercise with a gun on for the most part, because I like powerlifting. So I get sweaty, and I don't notice the drip that you get when you sweat against plastic. This kind of just soaks it up. So I wouldn't ever touch this if I were you, but I do wash it occasionally. Don't give me that look. I've seen you when you work out. You a sweaty boy.
Yeah, but I don't carry a gun when I work out.
Well, you should.
No.
What if somebody jumps you while you're working out?
They're gonna see me work out and be like, "I'm not messing with that guy.
That's not at all.
That dude's jacked."
They're like, wow, I don't need to mess with that guy because he's already struggling with the challenge that he's working on right now.
Like, if I take anything else from that guy,
He's gonna lose it.
he's I hate you. So I think that really that kind of in a nutshell, I like to say that, but I think it's pretty well covered.
I want to cover
Oh
something.
yeah,
else.
you want to talk about
So,
clips?
there's this isn't meant to be a end all be all, but I found that there's a couple different kind of clips, and we've talked about this style here, which is like the foamy,
It's the foamy,
style.
so that's what's going to go on a
Right.
holster like
They
this.
go on and that's a nice clip. One thing I don't love about these is they tend to rock a lot when you have a gun in them. They don't seem to be very stable, in my opinion, and especially when you're like me, and for the first year of carrying, you had a 1.75 inch overhoop on a inch and a half belt.
Yeah.
That was a problem. And so the other kind here, and this is a I think this comes on a T-Rex arms holster. This is like a vertical style clip. What do they call this?
Yeah, I mean, so this is the equivalent of our bottom mount.
Right. And so benefits to these over this foamy style is they do tend to have a better hook on them, and they tend to put these in a place that keeps the gun close to your body. So these are nice. And then I think the company is DCC that makes these, and they're very similar to the vertical style or bottom mount holster. But if you're, this is another option for people who were wanting to do something in that capacity, maybe a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, there's some pros and cons to all these.
Yeah. These are tough to get off, man.
The great thing about, the great thing, but is also maybe a downplay to some people is once it's on, it is not going anywhere. Those are very secure, very strong
clips. Yeah.
When I would before Alias, when I used holster clips, that's what I used.
And then lastly, we have our Alias clip, and I could talk for at least 20 minutes on why this is superior to all the other clips. But just so you're aware, it mounts onto every holster that you have. We have a clip that comes out for each holster type, and you can find that on our website. But the benefits of this is it is both stable in this direction and easy to take on and off. You don't have to worry about it pulling out because unless you depress the lever or the button on it, it's not going to come out. And so, like I said, this is sponsored by us, this video. And so if you're interested in the Alias system, let us know, and we'll hook you up. So we have those on our site, and we can always talk to you about that a little more.
Yeah. So I hope this helps you guys out. If you have anything, if you think there's anything that we miss, let us know. What are things that you are looking for in a holster? What are some things that you see in a holster and you're like, nope, not buying that? Do you agree with us about Uncle Mike's and that sort of? Are you a big Uncle Mike's fan?
If you are, tag me.
If you are, hit that unsubscribe button.
Yeah, go ahead and just leave.
Or learn from this podcast and try a real holster, a good holster. We're hoping to mold minds.
It is a forgivable thing. If you're an Uncle Mike user right now and you change your ways the moment you hear the gospel.
Time. You still haven't shot yourself or somebody else. You still have time.
Unless you have. In which case, hopefully you learned.
You're watching this in jail.
Yeah.
That we didn't come out with this video sooner so that you could have saved shooting your leg and your dog.
Serious.
It's really dark.
Yeah. So bad. Sorry, bro. No, that's a bad thing to do when you're sad. Don't spit it out. That's the worst thing to do when you're sad. We need to get off this thing.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Yep. Oh. Are you okay?
Don't breathe in bourbon.
Right.
Drink it. That's today's lesson.
Like and subscribe.
Yep.
Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a comment. Give us a kiss.